a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC podcasts are a service of CNC News, and they're brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. The New York State Thruway reopened at 6 Wednesday morning after being closed most of Tuesday from I-390 in Rochester all the way west to Ripley on the Pennsylvania state line. The Buffalo 190 and 290 expressways also reopened after being closed yesterday, and counties to the west of Rochester lifted their travel bans. The problem on Tuesday was a couple of lake-effect snow bands that formed about 30 miles southwest of Rochester, extending back to the south of Buffalo. The Lake Erie snow continued heavily all day, coupled with high winds and intense cold, and there you get an idea of what it looked like near the Buffalo airport. There were numerous accidents Tuesday afternoon and evening in Rochester because of flurries and blowing snow that made things slipperier than they looked. Many drivers were caught by surprise, like this one on 590, and every Rochester expressway had its share of crashes. A Rochester woman was rescued from her burning apartment early Wednesday morning by city firefighters. An automatic alarm alerted the fire department about 4 in the morning to a blaze at the Cedarwood Towers on East Main at Culver Road. They arrived to find smoke coming from a third-floor apartment. They found the unconscious woman on the floor right behind her front door. They got her out and rushed her to the hospital. 8 other apartments were evacuated while firefighters tackled the blaze. The fire was contained in the one apartment, and the cause is under investigation. The cold raised concerns in Irondequoit of a possible water system failure at the Medley Center Mall. Town inspectors found structural failures at the building housing the mall's pumping station. Large cracks in the walls were letting the cold in, and there was no heat inside. Town Supervisor Adam Bello said that raised concerns that the 8-inch water main in that building could freeze, possibly burst, and that would threaten that building and other properties downhill, including the Target store. Bello says the town tried to contact Burson Properties, and owner Scott Conjal tried since Thursday with no response. Bello says Irondequoit's fire marshal, public works, and police departments took steps to temporarily secure and get some heat into the pump house to avoid a serious problem. Livingston County Sheriff Thomas Doherty says his office will not enforce the 7-round provision of the New York SAFE Act, which was struck down last week by a federal judge in Buffalo. Sheriff Doherty's office says the sheriff made that decision after inquiries came in from Livingston County residents asking if 7 rounds was still the law in New York. Sheriff Doherty says as far as he's concerned, that part of the law has been overturned until a higher court rules differently. And be advised, if you don't live in Livingston County, other authorities have different views. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer says a program spared under the federal budget agreement could help secure $45 million in funding for redevelopment of the Sibley building in downtown Rochester. Schumer says he is pushing to get federal new market tax credits for the $190 million redevelopment project. He says the $45 million in credits will let Wynn Development move forward with redeveloping 6 floors into housing units, office, and retail space. Schumer says with more than 1 million square feet, the Sibley building is critical to the eastern end of downtown Rochester. Kodak rings Wall Street's bells. Couldn't resist, Eastman Kodak's CEO Antonio Perez and his leadership team got to ring the opening bell Wednesday to start trading on the New York Stock Exchange. The NYSE says it invited Kodak to highlight its transformation into a technology company that now serves the imaging and communications needs of businesses. Constellation Brands Victor says the U.S. beer business is behind a significant increase in its third-quarter sales and earnings. President and CEO Rob Sands says strong sales of Constellation's beer brands continued into the fall quarter, particularly for Corona and Modelo Especial. Net beer sales up by 21%. Suds are good business, apparently. Vice President Joe Biden was in Albany Tuesday, meeting with Governor Andrew Cuomo and state leaders about plans to toughen New York's infrastructure against future storms like Superstorm Sandy, using a lot of federal money. More than $73 million is going into a state-of-the-art weather forecasting and storm detection system, together with an emergency management and response network. And more is going into hardening critical public services, equipping them with backup power, hardening bridges and roads against flood and storm damage. Governor Cuomo delivers his State of the State message on Wednesday afternoon. Too late for our recording schedule today, but we will have an update posted on CNC news pages later. Next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of our pages and hear it, and updates are posted on these pages as necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.